After being found guilty of contempt, Stephen Donziger, the attorney known for taking on Chevron for environmental and health damages in Ecuador, has vowed to appeal. Donziger announced the verdict on Twitter, saying, quote, "As predicted, Judge Preska of the Chevron-funded Federalist Society found me guilty after denying me a jury and locking me up for 2 years."
Progressive congressmen and women are now coming to his defense. They've sent a letter to Attorney General Merrick Garland demanding that the case be reviewed. Joining us now to discuss his next steps is human rights attorney Stephen Donziger. Welcome to the show, Stephen.
Thank you for having me. We really appreciate it.
Now, you expected this verdict. You knew that she was going to find you guilty. What is happening now? I mean, are they going to be sentencing you? What is happening next?
Well, there's a lot of kind of balls in the air. I mean, first of all, I categorically reject this so-called conviction, which was held in a trial without a jury and presided over by a judge who had already locked me up for almost 2 years before deciding my guilt and innocence, Judge Loretta Preska. You know, I respect our federal judiciary. I respect the rule of law, but what happened to me was not the rule of law. It was pretty much a Chevron-financed trial where my prosecutor was a lawyer from a Chevron law firm. It wasn't the U.S. government. This is a very unusual situation. It's never happened before in our country. Should not happen in any rule of law country. And because of that, I think I have a fabulous appeal. The issue, the main issue on appeal is we think this whole trial was unconstitutional. You can't have a private corporate prosecution that deprives someone of their liberty in the United States of America. So a bunch of very able lawyers are coming in to handle my appeal. I'm just honored that they're going to help me, including professors and from Harvard Law and from the University of Texas Law School. And we fully expect to prevail on appeal. In the meantime, the judge will sentence me to whatever she's going to sentence me to. We're going to ask that she just end this because given the amount of time I've already served, this is a misdemeanor conviction, by the way. And even though I don't believe a crime was committed, this all stems from civil discovery disputes with Chevron in a civil case. If you've been in your house for 2 years with an ankle bracelet on a supposed crime that has a maximum sentence of 6 months, it makes no sense to continue. So we're going to ask that she release me immediately at sentencing and let the appeal play out, and we hope to be fully vindicated on appeal.
Stephen, we reached out to Chevron. They told us they had no comment about your most recent conviction, but they previously told us they are not a party in this case, saying, quote, "Chevron is not a party to the criminal case, did not initiate the criminal charges, and played no role in the court's decision to charge Donziger with criminal contempt of court or the decision to appoint the special prosecutors to oversee the case. Any insinuation that Chevron orchestrated or is controlling the criminal proceedings is false." We'd really like you to get you to respond to that.
Sure. I mean, that's just categorically untrue. Basically, the way this has gone down is for probably about 10 years, Chevron has tried to demonize me, and they've gone repeatedly to the federal prosecutor in Manhattan to try to get me criminally prosecuted for my human rights work in Ecuador, using various angles that the prosecutor has consistently rejected. Ultimately, they went to the civil case where they sued me and asked Judge Kaplan, federal judge here, former tobacco industry lawyer, to jail me because they claimed I violated certain discovery orders, which is just preposterous. I was litigating as a lawyer these discovery orders. So, you know, ultimately, when Judge Kaplan charged me, it was at the request of Chevron to jail me. And Kaplan took the charges to the Southern District of New York. They rejected the charges, didn't do the case. Kaplan then appointed not any law firm, he appointed a private law firm that had Chevron as a client, okay? A Chevron law firm prosecuted me in the name of the United States of America, and that's the fundamental problem. Moreover, a second Chevron law firm, Gibson, Dunn and Crutcher, used its lawyers to assist the prosecuting Chevron law firm to try to convict me. As a matter of fact, the main witnesses against me at trial were two Chevron lawyers, Ann Champion and William Thompson, who were billing Chevron $1,300 an hour for their work to help the private prosecutor try to convict me. Chevron financed the case. The judge is a leader of the Federalist Society. Chevron is a big donor to the Federalist Society. Chevron's all over this case. This case would not have happened but for Chevron. And when they say that they had nothing to do with it, that's just simply not true.
And I want to really clarify this, because this is just the part that is so, just bizarre, is this private prosecutor. I have asked some attorneys about your case and asked them if they've ever heard of a private prosecutor being assigned in a criminal case, and none of them have ever known of any case like this. So this is unique to you?
Yeah, I mean, I've been, in the legal profession now for 3 decades. I had never heard of this. When they did it to me, of course, I did some research, and I realized it has been done on some extraordinarily rare occasions throughout our history, just a few times, when there's like a conflict or you're in a part of the country where the normal office can't take it. But in each of those times, the private prosecutor was neutral, was disinterested, was a real prosecutor. In this case, Judge Kaplan appointed a Chevron lawyer to prosecute me. And I'm the lawyer who worked with indigenous peoples in Ecuador to win a $9.5 billion pollution judgment against Chevron, which, by the way, has been affirmed by multiple appellate courts around the world. So why, first, I shouldn't be prosecuted. The case was already rejected by the government. But if he's going to proceed over the objection of the government to try to have me prosecuted, you can't appoint a Chevron private lawyer to engage in a public prosecution, especially one that deprives me of my liberty. And it's pretty obvious, isn't it? I'm the only lawyer or person in our country charged with a federal misdemeanor who has no criminal record, who's been detained pre-trial. Well, a misdemeanor. Yeah. I have no criminal record for even one day. Today's my 722nd day with an ankle bracelet detained in my home. It's directly related to the fact that Chevron is controlling this prosecution. This would never happen with a professional prosecutor. As a matter of fact, the professional prosecutors rejected the case. The irony, though, which I have to kind of laugh at in this very serious matter, I'm probably the only lawyer in U.S. history who is literally begging the U.S. Department of Justice to prosecute me, to take this prosecution over from the private Chevron law firm. Right. I need a professional prosecutor. I can't even negotiate with these people.
Going back to your comment, going back to your comment about courts outside of Ecuador, Chevron told The Hill no court outside of Ecuador has ever recognized the judgment as legitimate. They told The Hill in part it has been rejected outright in both Brazil and Argentina. In Canada, Donziger team dismissed their case with prejudice after suffering adverse rulings. So what is your response to that?
That's completely false. This is the truth, okay? Chevron wanted the case in Ecuador. We had originally filed in the United States. In Ecuador, our team beat Chevron in court in a trial court judgment, which was affirmed by Ecuador's Supreme Court and Ecuador's Constitutional Court in unanimous opinions. Moreover, Canada's Supreme Court has affirmed the validity of the Ecuador judgment for enforcement purposes, as has the Ontario Court of Appeals on 2 occasions. 28 appellate judges have affirmed the validity of this judgment, okay, in Ecuador and in Canada. The countries that rejected the case rejected on technical grounds for enforcement purposes. They never rejected the merits of this case, which has overwhelming scientific evidence found by Ecuador's courts that prove Chevron deliberately, not an accident, deliberately dumped literally billions of gallons of cancer-causing oil waste into the Amazon, polluting indigenous ancestral lands and creating a skyrocketing rates of cancer in very vulnerable populations. So, Chevron is not a company known for telling the truth. They have environmental problems, frankly, not just in Ecuador, but in Nigeria, as the New York Times just reported the other day, and many other countries. It is a company that is literally spending, $2-3 billion on 60 law firms, 2,000 lawyers, to attack me and other lawyers rather than to pay the indigenous peoples it poisoned in Ecuador. And both of those statements you put up, I understand why you had to do that. You need to present their point of view, but they're simply not true.
Stephen, thanks a lot for being with us today and explaining, your side of the story. We really appreciate it.
Thank you
for allowing us the platform to explain our perspective. Appreciate it very much.
Right.
Thank you.
We'll be back with more Rising right after this.